You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones and
All right, this is the Talk Beat Jones, and I am Billy E. Jones. And remember, we come on the air every Wednesday. That is, we on the air every Wednesday from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. And we invite you to, of course, tell your friends about the Talk Beat Jones and let them know that every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11, we are live. And remember, also, we have another broadcast on 15.2. That broadcast is on Sunday from 4 to 5 p.m. And of course, you got the YouTube. That's YouTube TV 33 on demand, where you can go by and you can listen and view all of the shows that's here at TV 33, WHPR, WHPS, at any given time, 24 hours a day. And so let's get ready to go into the Talk Beat Jones. But again, tell your friends to like and to love the program and share it, okay? But again, this is the Talk Beat Jones, and I am Billy Jones, and I have my guest today. Sir, would you come in and give them that special name that you have that you ride with every day, 24 hours a day?
Brother Tula Cabone. I'm also a radio host here at WHPR 88.1 FM. I'm privileged to be on this show with Brother Billy E. Jones. So I'm looking to have this grateful conversation today. And it's just a blessing to me to be around brothers who have knowledge and who can help me grow as an individual. Okay, who can help me grow as an individual. So I just want to say thank you for having me here.
All right, and Leo, we're gonna find out if we got our other guest, Mr. Leo Brazil, Oakland, California, who is a two-time city council person, a former still a Black Panther. He's still alive, and he's on the. Let's see. He is also a retired defense attorney, so we want to be able to get his perspectives. And today, this is a program that's going to highlight some of the activities that went on during the vice presidential debate. And so we're going to turn it over and let my guest have the first shot at his views on the vice presidential debate that was held just very recently. And of course, if you want to have some content into this, please let me know and you can call. We'll give you that number shortly. But brother, would you let us know what you think about the vice presidential debate?
Well, I think that it was a little flat. Flat in because we and most people have seen that J.D. Vance can be a little aggressive, and Tim Walz can be a little more fired up and animated and more engaging with the crowd. Both of them seem a little more subdued. J.D. Vance seemed a little more like he was told by the teacher to be good in the class. Don't show who you really are. You know what I'm saying? Tim Walz, you could tell obviously he was a little nervous. And he was thinking while he was speaking. And sometimes when you do that, and it's just not a natural thing, it shows. It can show. But for the most part, I think J.D. Vance made some statements that was really contradictory, particularly when he said that he did not agree or somehow avoided the question that he did not support, and I'm paraphrasing, a national ban on abortion.
All right.
When right after that, they showed where he made a radio announcement that he did support that.
The reason I said that because we know, as we were watching, there was some revelations, and the revelations was that here is your stance that you took, Mr. J.D. Vance, or what is it, J.B. Vance?
J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance. These are the stances that you took. It's on record. And how did you see how he backtracked on statements that is on the record that that he had made in the past. He made statements about his relationship or his understanding of who Donald Trump was and the things that Donald Trump had done, and how he felt about some actions of Donald Trump. And yet he backtracked because what? He said that as time went on, he saw that the media, he switched it over to the media, and what the media had convinced him of the actions of Donald Trump. Continue, sir.
Well, and then let's really look at the background of J.D. Vance. Far as he presents himself as an individual who grew up in a small, poor, middle class. Poor class background. Well, but what's not being told is that he also was funded by a billionaire. J.D. Vance's career. I'm sorry. J.D. Vance's career was funded by a billionaire, right? That's where he came from after he went down to California. They funded him to become the person that he is. So in the process of doing that, he criticized Donald Trump. He referred to Donald Trump as a Hitler. He said that the Democratic Party had a great financial agenda. And they asked him that, why did he go away from those statements concerning Donald Trump being called a Hitler? And he said, he paraphrasing, he changed his mind because somehow he was coerced by the media. What Mr. Jones is saying, but when you stereotype somebody as a Hitler, that means that your intentions and you studied that person extremely well to make that kind of statement. So when I seen J.D. Vance dancing around answers, I said, okay, he's lying. He's lying.
But we know that J. Vance is a liar because his master teacher is a master of that particular procedure. So was there any surprises in the fact that he was going to change his backdrop of what he had stated before in terms of what he evaluated as Donald Trump's actions and the valuation of whom Donald Trump really is?
I don't think so. Because sometimes, anybody know that Donald Trump, you have to dance his music to be a part of his party. And if you don't dance and do exactly what he wants you to do, he ostracizes you immediately. He don't have no play. He don't have no problem throwing you under the bus. So I am not shocked that J.D. Vance did that. They asked him about what happened in Ohio. He danced around that. He tried not to be direct. So, and it's just talking points for Donald Trump. J.D. Vance is the perfect person for what Donald Trump agenda is. J.D. Vance wrote the introduction, or has something to do with writing the introduction to Project 2025 that Donald Trump now try to separate himself from. So I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. And people got to understand who he is.
And when you say people have to understand who he is, based upon his past situation that he has cleared up, everyone has a chance to change their mind. Everyone has a chance to switch back and say, ooh, this doesn't work for me now. I've got to create this lie to make it right. So in making it right, he has to lie. That's what he has to do. He has to lie. And we all have those folks in terms of the family members who can create a situation and then lie, and you start to know who exactly they are. What is it that Donald Trump, how does he operate from his past actions? Does he lie? Or does he try to recreate? Or does he say that the other folk are lying and he didn't have anything to do with it?
Donald Trump remind me of the Pinocchio. You know how Pinocchio, if he was Pinocchio, his nose would be around the world.
Now, for those folks who don't know who Pinocchio is, because again, our program goes around the world, and Pinocchio is not a person that everybody knows. So explain what and who is
so
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio is was a cartoon character that every time he lied, his nose would grow, every time. And it's a fact that Donald Trump is a known liar. The stuff he says, he makes up, and people somehow begin to justify his lies. So again, some of the stuff is outrageous. When he was at the debate, he said that people that was in Springfield, Ohio, was eating cats and dogs, and that just wasn't true. Without any facts whatsoever, which caused the Haitian, well, particularly the Haitian community. He said that if he become president, that the first people he's going to deport is the Haitians. But the thing to the Haitians, I found out today, for one, Springfield, Ohio advertised for migrants to come there and work. They invited migrants there. Two, the Haitians that's there are there legally. They're not there illegally. So, I mean, it's just stuff like that. When you make statements like that, particularly in this type of climate, question Kamala Harris' blackness. I find that to be offensive.
But isn't it different when we have to sit up and justify the existence of those folks, the Haitian folks? Is it a process of where they chose a dark or a people of color to put this type of situation and put this type of image for folk? There are all of these different immigrants from different countries in which actually that particular type of food is considered a delicacy.
Right.
Who are living in the United States of America today.
Hello.
So why would they choose? We know why they chose that particular race of folk. They represent that blackness in America. So without going for an actual black folk, they take the complexion of the Haitian folk to use it as a blanket. So all folks will look and say, them folks. You're not able necessarily to look and distinguish sometimes between an Asian person and a black person. So it's all whitewashing everybody and saying, ooh, that person. So why is it that now you have this whole community that have received all type of threats, young folks who grew up feeling that they're Americans, that they have all the privileges and the sweetness and the beautifulness of being an American, are now chastised and turned to the point where they don't want to go to school. They don't want to necessarily go out and shop. They don't necessarily want to be out to church, etc., because of this imagery that people have done, and they've got folks threatening to bomb them, shoot them, to totally interrupt their whole way of life. But the people who are looking at being the leaders of all of America do not care, because what did they do? They doubled down on the statements they made. We don't care to go into what it is. If you're around the world and you haven't heard it, it's okay. It's disgusting for those folks who do not participate in that particular food group. And I say that there are some folks who actually do that, who actually enjoy that particular food group. Look on the internet. You can find it and you can see it. Sometimes you can see them being prepared for a meal. So it's no disrespect. If that's yours, more power to you, because that's what you and your culture is about, those who participate. But the Haitians are saying, don't put that in our backyard. That's not what we do.
I mean, I agree with that. I just think that we have to call a spade a spade. The Republican Party in general, in which is Donald Trump started what they call the MAGA movement. A lot of people say Donald Trump has hijacked the Republican Party and made it what it is today. Donald Trump has a racist history itself, starting with the 5 black guys who was in New York that was false accused of raping that white lady in the park. He took out an ad in New York Times. They ended up being $35,000. After they was exonerated, he still ain't apologized for that. Him and his father were sued for discriminating against black people in apartment complexes. Donald Trump, when he was in power, he referred to Africa as an S-hole country. Well, I don't know how's that. Africa is the birthplace of civilization. Everybody know that. So, I mean, then when the Nazis was marching, I think in South Carolina, North Carolina, he said that it was both good people on both sides. I've never met a good Nazi. I'm sorry. I just haven't. So he has a racist backward mentality. Not only that, 200, he put on the bench 203 federal judges. Only 8 of them were black. Majority of them were black men, right? That is a problem. He only identified with black Republicans that support an agenda that ignores and annihilates black culture, black identity, and more of I would say, make America great again, Confederate type mentality. Facts. If you study how he moved, that's how he moved.
So again, if the history shows that there's a certain mentality with Donald Trump, why, we ask the question, they're stating that Donald Trump is gaining with black men. They state that Donald Trump is gaining with white women. So what is it? What is the attraction that at this point right now, with the statements and the positions that Donald Trump has shown that he is going to initiate and be with, why is it that we still have half of the people? When I say half, because it's saying that the race is that close, 49, 51, etc. Why is the race so close? And where is the attraction? The fact that women in America outnumber men 5 to 8 to 1. 5 to 8 to 1. And when they talk about the ownership of their own body and the fact that Donald Trump and Vance are behind the fact that no, not only are you not going to be in control of your body, but if you become pregnant, you're going to have to be a part of a registry. So we're going to be able to follow your pregnancy and to make sure that you do not have an abortion. You take it.
So let me give a little history. History rewards those who study it. Particularly dealing, let's start with white women first. During the slave trade, out of 100% of the slaves were owned, 40% of the slaves were owned by white women. But like a lot of people don't know that. You know, they couldn't vote, but they could own slaves. The more slaves they owned, the more power they had, the more prestige it was. Since 1955, white women in a majority of vote have only voted for 2 Democratic candidates. White women under the age of 44 primarily vote on race. White women under the age of 44 primarily vote on issues. Now, we have to acknowledge that America is a racist country. White women, and I'm going to say this unequivocally.
Well, when you say America is a racist country,
okay.
Let us not
so
put that in the fact that America is not a racist country. America is a country that those who choose to have racist views have a big stake at the table.
Okay, so I'll say that. Okay, so I apologize. Let me rephrase.
No. You do not have to apologize. I'm saying these are thoughts, family. Here's what happens. These are thoughts, and my brother here is highly esteemed in terms of studies, in terms of history, in terms of his background. And what we do is we say, for those out there who say, well, hold up, sir. We can't get to you on the telephone, etc. So I throw something out that for those who may have a little different thing, I'm with you. I'm helping you out to question and put that other side into it without a disagreement. Without a disagreement, because again, we do know that America leadership that have tried to be in control have had tendencies to want to continue the influence of the folks who, quote, have been in power. America is a country that's been empowered through the white folk, and that's the way that rolled. When you can have a candidate such as, or a presidential person such as Obama, and you can have a single white man that can tell the president of the United States, you are not a citizen. You are not a citizen. And that presidential person, head of this country, the most powerful country in the nation, in the world, has to go through the process of bringing out the paperwork, has to go out and get the paperwork, or chooses to go out and get the paperwork to satisfy this one white man that says, you're not a citizen until you show me that you, and he still don't acknowledge, by the way, that he is an American citizen.
Well, I mean, then let's look at that. Why would he just focus? I mean, again, this is something that's never happened in the history of America, where they question the authentication of somebody running for president. Only the black people, right? And he's correct. There was a birther theory that Donald Trump embraced ran with and moved forth with. But let me get back to white women. I feel this is important. The question I put out there, and it's the elephant in the room, and we have to be honest about it. Mr. Jones is correct. America is not a racist in general for those who practice racism, but it has been structured in a way to benefit white people, right? Whether it's subconscious, conscious, whether it's by default, they benefit from the racism that in America. And what I've stated, and which have been stated in doing, but because it was a concept that was asked during slavery. The black women said during slavery, how can white women watch what happened to black women and not oppose or even object or try to assist black women for coming up out of slavery? And the answer was very simple. They benefit from white supremacy. They are the de facto, by default, they benefit from white supremacy. They have babies with people who are racist. And so financially they benefit. The conditions of the communities they live in, they benefit. They're not the victims of the most harsh punishment by those who are non-white. So they understand that if they speak up, there's consequences that they're not willing to just forfeit over. How do that boil down to Kamala Harris? Because and let's call it what it is, the elephant in the room. A lot of people don't like the fact that Kamala Harris is running and she's black. One, and that she's married to a Jewish person. That's two. That's fact. But the fact that she's a black woman running for president pushed a lot of the white women to ignore her and not support her. It doesn't make sense to me that if somebody's telling you they're going to take your right to your autonomy to your body, that you would still support that particular person.
With that, I want you to come back. With that, why? Because that man tells you that he will be the protector of women. Man. Now, although he has these problems, he is telling you that he will be the protector of women. Sir?
That's interesting. So let's address
Mr. Leo, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We'll get you right after this last statement.
Code 5.
Yeah.
Huh?
He said 5.
Okay, thank you.
Code 5.
Okay, we're going to bring you down just a little bit, okay? Okay, go ahead, sir.
So I just want to comment on just that. Donald Trump stated on the video, I think it was TMZ released the video, that he can grab a woman,
by the coochie.
Right? Well, he said it, I didn't. And by the coochie, and she would be accepted because of his star power. A lot of women have accused Donald Trump of sexual harassment, and he's denied that. The porn star that said he slept with her, she described a birthmark on his back, but he never slept with her, right? How did she know about the birthmark? You know what I mean? So the question I'm putting out here is this. Do you genuinely believe that Donald Trump can be the protector of women? More so, would you leave your wife alone with him in the room?
Mr. Leo Brazil, are you there? Leo?
Yes, I can't understand. Code 5.
Okay, do your thing. Leo, do your thing.
I'm sorry?
Speak on your perspective of what you saw with the vice presidential debate, if you choose.
Code 5. I just can't understand.
Okay, we're going to have Mr. Leo Brazil to listen because he's not able to really hear. And so at some point we may try to bring Mr. Leo Brazil back in, maybe after a break, and we'll see if we can bring him back in or so he can hear, because apparently he's not able to hear the questions in this program as we hoped that he would be able to do. So the process again is we're talking about the fact that Mr. Donald Trump states that he is going to be the protector of women. Now, we have all these battered women. We have all of these abused women. We have all these fatherless women. We have all these women that are out there looking for someone to be their person that they can look up to. Is that who he's appealing to?
No, I think Donald Trump is realizing that President Kamala Harris is starting to get the women's votes based on a sarcastic remarks that him and J.D. Vance have a tribute to women, particularly J.D. Vance calling women without children catless women who shouldn't even be able to vote because they shouldn't have a say about what's going on in our community concerning women. Donald Trump being a person that's known as an individual who have made and done things allegedly done, let me put that out there, allegedly done to women.
Wait, he is a convicted person based upon what he did to a woman. So it's not an alleged at this point. He has been convicted of his crime. So that means that the alleged is not there now, my brother. He is actually a felon with that.
But this is the thing. This is where racism come into effect.
Okay.
Let me give y'all a true analogy. If Donald Trump were black, would he even be running for president right now? Would he be even acknowledged? Right? They got brothers that get one felony. They ostracize you. He got convicted 34. He got charged with 91. The judge in Florida dismissed the charges on him, but because the Supreme Court gave him a loophole. Said if he's in official duties, he can do what he want to do. But yeah, the fact that he stole the documents from the White House that was top secret, had them laying around in the bathroom. They said he showed it to some people. It was even recorded with him talking about it. But that's okay. Now, what I've said this, and I've said this to black people as well. Mm-hmm. Y'all know people with felons you won't even let come to your house to a party. But you vote for Donald Trump to be in power. So do you, and I have to say it this way, do they suffer from what I call plantation psychosis? Psychosis means a psychological sickness, but you have a slave mentality. Because you cannot have a double standard. And if Donald Trump is allowed to run for president, then there should be no evaluations concerning individuals who have felony convictions. Period. Anybody with felony conviction should be able to get any type of job if Donald Trump is allowed to run for president, and a lot of people are embracing him as a presidential candidate.
If you look at the requirements for president, it is not like going and looking for a job. You have greater restrictions in terms of going looking for a job and them doing background checks and etc. For the position of being the president, they don't do all that. That's why he's able to put out and know, we all know the background of Mr. Donald Trump, but it does not disqualify him. It does not disqualify him for the office of president. If he can make folks believe in him, then he can be the president of the United States of America. And because he comes in with a base of folk who believe in him 100,000%, then it doesn't matter whatever he has been convicted of. Those folks totally are with him. Now, you other folk out here who are in that, quote, undecided vein, and you're saying, some of you are saying, I don't even know if I want to vote for either one of these candidates. Well, when you're saying, I don't want to vote for either one of these candidates, you are actually giving a vote to whom? To Donald Trump. Take it, bro.
This is interesting. Because when we look at the majority of America aren't middle class. They're not rich. They're majority of them are what I call marginalized, meaning 2 or 3 paychecks of being poor, and you have poor. If you look at the history of the Democratic Party since the 1930s, right? And Lincoln was a Democrat. I know people say that, they refer to that, Republican. That's the first thing. He was a Republican, but he was a different type of Republican who gave emancipation, on the Emancipation Act, gave slave owners reparations. Let me keep moving. The 1930s president, he came out with what we know now as food stamps. He came out with Social Security disability. Let's go all the way to 1960, right? Under the Great Society, which was Lyndon Baines Johnson. He gave Medicaid, Medicare. He gave the Voting Rights Act. He gave affirmative action 1, and he gave affirmative action 2, which was in 1967, where he amended affirmative action to add so-called minorities or people of color, right, or you was discriminated against, and he added women, which white women, till the day of affirmative action being counseled by the United States Supreme Court, benefited more from affirmative action as a result of Lyndon Baines Johnson. Now, let's evaluate the Republicans. Outside of Lincoln, what have they contributed to society as far as marginalized and poor or even the middle class. Name one Republican bill that has benefited the middle class, the poor, and the marginalized outside of Lincoln. There is none. So eliminate the Democratic presidents. Let's eliminate them. Where would we be right now as a society? We talking about the marginalized, and this is a general. I'm not just speaking about African Americans, because there's more white people who get food stamps than black. That's fact. That's a statistical fact. Imagine if we did not have Democrats like Lyndon Baines Johnson, right? Like Barack Obama, who brought about urgent care or brought about Obamacare, so everybody can be insured, regardless of your economical background. So eliminate Obamacare, what do you have? So I think we have to understand the importance of who we cannot afford to sit on the couch.
Who are we talking to? Wait, who are we talking to?
I'm talking.
Who are we talking to? We have folk out there, which despite all that we have to state at this particular point, my good brother, and I want you to come back, because I'm asking the folk, with all that you're stating about what the Republicans have not done,
Facts.
what and why have the Republicans been able to be elected president of this United States of America?
I would call it a Democratic backlash, white backlash against Barack Obama, and I would say a lot of propaganda voodoo.
Well, I mean, before Barack, they were being elected president.
But propaganda. People, poor people and marginalized people get frustrated with the system, because what happens during the election, a lot of presidents come out and promise the marginalized and the poor so many things, and when it doesn't happen, their first response is, my vote don't count.
You said promise. I want you to come back. But I want the family to zero in the fact. He says promise. They speak promise. They sell you. They sell you upon the dream, because they realize one thing. I can tell you anything as I'm running for office, knowing good in my shoe that I do not have to produce. But I can lie and make you dream. When you listen to Donald Trump today, every time he steps before that microphone, he is promising a group of folk what he's going to do, what he's going to change. He's going to wave his hand, and the war that is going on right now is going to stop. He is a person that just is picking up out of his pocket and saying, what does this group want to hear? What does this group want to hear? What promises is this person going to want to have? For Christmas, my child, here is the presents I'm going to give to you when Santa Claus comes down to your chimney. Take it, bro.
So, I mean, let me put this out here about me, because I don't want it to be seen as if, well, I'm what they call a Democratic shield, right? That's terminology that's being used by brothers on. And I'm not a Democratic shield, meaning that the Democratic Party somehow is propping me up to speak for them, and I'm trying to vigorously defend it. No. But I understand one thing, it's called voting. And I understand that if you don't vote, you don't count when it comes to laws, or you don't put people in power who represent your interests. The real part of life right now is that we only got two people that's running for candidate. There's Democratic, that's Kamala Harris, right? And we have Donald Trump. We have to make that decision. So again, as I stated, and I want people to genuinely think about this. Donald Trump cost, he contributed to, because his misinformation about COVID-19 cost 1 million people to die in America. But it affected the black community, including my mama, who's affected by COVID-19.
You mean your personal mama?
My birth mother caught COVID-19 in the nursing home. She was only there for rehab. Right? Let me tell you. Let me just, because this is personal to me, because we need to understand, if another pandemic happened, do we want him in power? We didn't know it was airborne because Donald Trump told us it wasn't. He said it was like the common cold. This is what he said, February 2020. So people wasn't prepared for that. But he told Bob Woodward on an interview, January of 2020, it was airborne and you could catch it, and it was debilitating, affects you horribly. March of 2020, I was visiting my mom at the nursing home, March 10th. They said, hey, the nursing home is shut down. Nobody can come in here. COVID-19 is horrible. By the end of March or April, middle of April, all the business had shut down because people was dying from it. By March the 25th, my mom was rushed to the hospital where they was just, hey, you caught it, it was done. She had COPD. Now, the reason I'm saying this, had we been properly advised about COVID-19, that it was airborne and it was deadly, a lot of us wouldn't have run around our family members. A lot of us would have got masked early. A lot of us would have prepared for what happened. But he convinced us that it was not deadly. That was a problem. And we don't understand that. We are like COVID-19 was something that happened 50 years ago, right? And he even told us to put bleach in our arms. That's ridiculous.
Did Donald Trump also contract COVID?
Oh, well, so, allegedly. I'm going to say it that way. Allegedly, he allegedly, because 2 or 3 days later, he did what other people wasn't doing. He took his mask off and came outside and was holding up. His doctor lied about what happened. That later came out too. So allegedly, Donald Trump caught COVID-19, came up out of it, and it, was a running star. And but I say allegedly.
Okay, let's take a pause. Let's take a pause for you, because family, I want you to still have time to go out and let your friends and your family know that you can watch this program on TV33, WHPR, WHPS, and you can go to YouTube, TV33, WHPR, and you're going to be able to pull it up in queue. You go to videos and you'll be able to pull the program up. But right now, let's take a breath. And when we take a breath, it's like we're getting comfortable. And how do you get comfortable? When you feel good, you smell. Hey, I want to smell good. Because it's getting hot in here. Getting hot in here. So let's take a moment, and why don't you take a moment and talk about some good smelling colognes?
All right, so I appreciate that. Let me turn this around a little bit. So after my mom passed during COVID-19, it was very painful, because when your mom all of a sudden died, I don't care what nobody say, and you loved your mom, it is painful. So I had to find a way to contribute in commemoration of my mom. So I began to mess with fragrances. I started with candles, made it during the pandemic. I started making cologne and perfume scented candles. Then I went to making perfume and cologne, because my mom sold Avon. She did the best she could working with people, and so I had to do this. So I create my own line of fragrances, right? And I guarantee that my fragrances will stay on you at least 6 to 8 hours, nothing less, or I return your money. I was tutored by an individual. I was privileged to be tutored by somebody who was tutored by somebody that worked for Dior Sauvage. And he gave me the secrets of what to do and how to mix my fragrances. All these right here are my fragrances. These are my fragrances.
Okay.
People order my stuff from me all the time.
Okay, now, I need to know, what is this?
That's called Bugatti Sport.
Okay, now what is Bugatti Sport?
It is a fragrance that I put together. It's more of a manly, strong, sporty type. So what I did was I gave each one of my fragrances particular names, because what I figured out just studying people and how they put on their fragrances. Most of us, when we get up, we wear fragrance based on how we feel.
Based on that, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Give me 30 seconds on each one of these, please.
Well, I got to see. This right here is called Success, meaning when you put it on, you're going to feel like success. The next one is Holla, which is more of a relaxed smell, kind of vanilla. Bugatti Sports, kind of strong. Then we got 313, which is the area code of Detroit. For women, I got Bugatti, and I'll see what this one right here is. Y'all going to love this one. I love money. Bugatti, I was riding one day with somebody, and we seen a Bugatti car. So I said, you know what? She said, ooh, I love that Bugatti. I said, okay, I'm going to make a fragrance. And my motto with Bugatti is, you may not be able to drive a Bugatti, but you can smell like you've been in one. And I love money. It speaks for itself. So I got at least 11 different fragrances of men and women. I mixed them myself. They quality fragrance. And the reason I just want to add this in, I'm gonna hurry up. I wanted to do that because I look at how my mom grew up smelling good. That was one of her things. And she encouraged us to. If a mother of a marginalized mother, a mother that's poor, went to Macy's, she couldn't afford what Macy's has.
So they went through the process of doing the testing. They would go out, they would come down, they're going to go out, so they would go down to Macy's, I know it from Oakland, and they would go through the testing and put on the perfumes, and that would be their perfumes for that evening.
Right. And with me, you ain't got to do that. Listen, some people that I've met, that's what I call the elite class, order my stuff instead of Macy's. It was a brother, I got it on my Facebook page. He, please don't demonize me for this. He was standing next to Jada Pinkett. She said, "Ooh, you smell good. What you got on?" It was my 313. She gave him an award. So I just want to say that in general, and that's how it went.
Tell me this. If I'm interested in one of these or 2 or 3 of these or 4 of these, or how am I able to pick this up?
So I would tell you right now to contact me personally at 586-563-5830.
Hold up. Do that number slow again.
I'm sorry. I just talk a little fast.
That's okay.
586
You excited like me.
That's the country part of me. I'm a country boy.
Hey.
586-563-5830. And I make the lotions that go with each one of my fragrances. And I have a diffuser. I can give you the diffuser and the oil that goes into the fragrance itself. So whatever one you get, you can have your house smell like it. And if you got a boyfriend, don't put it on. You think you had a man, you got to go. Don't do that either. But I'm joking. But yeah, contact me. And I do a great service to our people because I feel the whole world should smell. Everybody deserves to smell good for a reasonable price. That's my belief.
All right, all right. Now, when you're looking back now, I've got this fragrance of success, and I'm watching this presidential election, and I'm asking folk, who are you for? But my question also is, where do black men stand on behalf of Vice President Harris?
So I was watching something today. I do a show. You can catch it tomorrow at 5:00. It's called Politics or Politics. You decide.
What time?
At 5:00 here tomorrow. You hit www.88.1 FM WHPR.com. I'm going to be addressing a lot of poor black men, not marginalized. I'll tell you, marginalized 2 paychecks from being poor. Poor black men feel that the Democratic Party has left them out. Trump has been able to dupe them by putting individuals who come from their background to go out and speak to them in terms of trying to get them to believe that he's going to do something for them. And like he tell them that he gave them the stimmy. No, he didn't. The Democratic Senate did the stimmy.
But Kanye and Lil Wayne,
Okay,
they don't fall in that category.
Well, Kanye and Lil Wayne has never fell in the category of Kanye West grew up middle class. So when I'm talking, listen, the statistic was today from Defiant Lawyer that the Kamala Harris election may be hinged on marginalized poor black men voting for her, right? But the thing is, a lot of these brothers are misinformed, and the Democratic Party isn't messaging them the correct way. They are not sending people into the hood to talk to these brothers. And mostly, and I've said this, I interviewed somebody that works at Kamala Harris campaign Sunday here, that's a field officer, and I told her that Kamala Harris messaging is mostly geared towards middle class blacks or black women. You cannot ignore black men. In the primaries this year, only 12% of in Detroit, 12% of people in Detroit voted. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Wait, repeat what you just said.
In the primaries this year, only 12% of the people from the city of Detroit voted. That is horrible.
Now let us understand, the voting in the primaries is always low. Always low.
12%?
12%, bro. Always low. And it's ridiculous, and that's what we're speaking on. It is ridiculous, and I'm glad that you bring this point up, is that how do we translate the fact that folk are not being excited enough during the primaries? But that's another story. Right now, of course, during the general election, that situation goes up. But do the percentages reflect the black vote? The thing that we're talking about right now is that the black men, is it that the black men in general do not believe in having a woman ahead of them in life?
No, no, come on, man. So that's a myth, right? And I'm tired of people trying to say, oh, brothers don't like black. That's not true. We come from black women. So stop. A lot of us respect. You don't hear about black men killing their mamas, chopping their head off. We don't do that. So that is a myth. The problem is, and I'm going to say this because I'm poor. I come from a poor background. I was just able to focus and rise up from the poverty in a way that I can say I'm a little bit okay. They're not focusing on poor black men. What do you have to offer? These brothers aren't going to HBCUs. These brothers need jobs. What are you doing? Stop telling them that UAW, when in construction industry, the construction industry is discriminating against poor black men. This is a fact. I address that issue. You have to give them some of substance. Stop feeding them. The thing is over with George Floyd, the Voting Rights Act. I mean, the George Floyd policing bill. Black men need that because we don't want to get beat up the most. Voting Rights Act with John Lewis Voting Rights Bill didn't go through. They tried that under Joe Biden. We ain't even talk about that no more. It was two good Democrats that stopped that. There was Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. Got you. You have to talk to poor black men. If you do not include them at the table, then they're going to walk away from the table.
But is it just poor black men who have that particular mentality about the fact that they don't care to have a woman ahead of them?
That's it. Listen,
and that's not a myth.
Okay.
That's not a myth.
Okay, let me. Up for debate, good brother. Up
Yes,
for debate.
let's do that.
I have never heard nobody poor tell me, right? And I'm out here. I go chop it up with the people, right? Because Tula Cabone chops up with the people. Ain't nobody ever told me I don't want her to be ahead of me because she's a black woman. They ain't never said that. That is a myth that's put out there by, come on, plantational psychosis, meaning black people who suffer from the mentality of slavery still today, right? They have never done that. What they said is the Democratic Party isn't inclusive to me. That's what they've said.
So now we see that there is a point of interest, and within our own folk, in the barbershops, the beauty shops, etc., we need to have that conversation.
Well, I got to say this.
And we have a little difference in our generational thoughts.
Absolutely.
And so we have gone through the fact that men that I understood and grew up with, etc., did not want women ahead of them. No. You know, this process now is that we are in a different state of mind. We have young men that are being brought up in families in which the woman is the head of the household. So as you're saying, we have a difference now.
We do.
We have a difference. But we do have a large generation of men, period. Not just the black men, but men in period who feel that they are superior to women and do not care to vote women into positions of power.
We have to narrow down the culture. White men don't want to empower because she's black. They ain't got nothing to do with all that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be narrow-minded when it's come to this issue. Black men don't understand the Democratic Party. They're not equating it to her just being a woman that's in power. More so, based on our generations, we got rap music. Well, our generation is different. We have breakdancing with women. We have rap music. So women are all involved in what we're doing. You know, we got the computer ages. So we generation, we are different.
But I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
We're gonna have to do this again.
Amen.
And again, because again, this message, this understanding or lack of understanding has to be pulled out and discussed. Right. But you know, brother, I need you to take about a minute and a half and do a closeout for us.
Sure. Well, I just want to say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate it being on Mr. Bill. I love being on this, brother. You know, steel sharpens steel. And I agree. All I ask for us to do to understand the importance of voting, we have to vote. We have to understand the importance of voting. We cannot, don't listen to what they tell you, sit on the couch. I want to add this. Today I found out that the DOJ is finally investigating what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921. They're investigating that now. Under the Emmett Till Act, which means we passed the law. They're doing that now. The black lady who runs I just found this out today. But had we not voted, and got a Democratic president in there who appointed a black woman over the Civil Rights Department and got the Emmett Till Act passed, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because the Republicans ain't going to do that.
All right. Thank you, my good brother. Because, again, if they want to have more information about that, they are able to contact you and watch you on what time and what channel. Real quick, give me 20 seconds.
So I'll be at WHPR, www.88.1 FM, WHPR.com at 5 o'clock tomorrow. I got a show called Politics or Politics You Decide, and I'm on Monday.
What day is that?
That's Thursday, every Thursday at 5 o'clock. Then I got a show every Monday called Real Talk with Tula Cabone, where we talk about these issues.
All right. And you see, family, we go with the beat. It's called the Talk Beat. The Talk Beat Jones. Again, I am Billy E. Jones. And family, remember, we're on the air every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11. And, of course, we have another broadcast on Sunday from 15.2. And, of course, you can go to YouTube TV 33 on demand, and you can pick us up 24 hours a day. My show, other shows are in queue. You go to videos, and that'll show you the latest shows that's been produced on WHPR, WHPS for you around the world. Family, I want to thank you for being with us. Be sure to share the program. Talk about the program. You hear the brothers speaking, you hear me speaking. We give you a little something to kind of mix in your mind, mix in your thoughts. So if you're sitting around the table, you're out there doing what you're doing, you may want to bring this conversation up and find out how do your family feel, how your group of folks feel, because you may have something totally different. But we ask you, go with love, go with peace, go with harmony, and go with respect. This has been the Talk Beat Jones. Again, I am Billy E. Jones. We love you. We have nothing but the greatest admiration and love for you. Tell your friends about the Talk Beat Jones, Billy Jones. See you soon. Be back soon. That is on your air.
You wouldn't have to go anywhere because this is the Talk Beat Jones. And I